The following story has been brought to you by StoriesToInspire.org.
There was a young fellow and his name was Meir Anshel, and he was a shamish, he was a personal attendant of a great tzaddik, Reb Tzvi Hirsch of Chartkov. Reb Tzvi Hirsch of Chartkov had a daughter, and he was waiting for the day that he can marry his daughter off to a Talmid Chacham, to a Torah scholar, to an Ish Yashar, to an Erlich, a person. And towards an anticipation of that, for years and years, he'd been saving money. Every time he'd get a gold coin, he'd put it in a special drawer under special lock and key, and it accumulated coin after coin, coin after coin, until the time would come that his daughter would get married. There'd be money for the wedding, for a dowry, and he'd even be able to support the young couple as they learned. Eventually, Reb Asher Anshel, his young attendant, his young shamish, moved on, opened his own business, and he was very matzliach, he was very successful. A little while later, the daughter of Reb Tzvi Hirsch of Chartkov got engaged, and the simcha knew no bounds. And this time he finally went into the safe, I guess you could say the special drawer, and he unlocked it, and to his utter horror, it was empty. Not a single gold coin. They called the police, they came detectives, the money had vanished without a trace. And one of the family members, sadly, said to Reb Tzvi Hirsch, listen, the money didn't vanish into thin air. There's only one person that even knew that money was there besides for you, and that perhaps could have gotten access to the keys, and that was your shamish, Asher Anshel. I mean, you don't have to be a genius to figure out, he must have been the one that stole it. And Reb Tzvi Hirsch said, Chas v'shalom, impossible. He's such a yashristic person, he's such an honest person, he's full of integrity, he would never take it. So, but look what happened. He left here, and now he's so successful. Where did he get seed money to open his business? Where did that come from? And over, they said these complaints, these tainas, to Reb Tzvi Hirsch, until eventually somebody convinced Reb Tzvi Hirsch that at least he should ask Meir Anshel. And with a heavy heart he did. He called Meir Anshel in. Meir Anshel came back to his town, and he said, listen, I don't know how to say this to you, but the money is missing, and I'm not choshesh, I don't suspect you even for a second, but people are talking. Do you have any idea? And when Meir Anshel heard this, he was seized with fear that he was a suspect. I mean, the Torah says that you have to be so clean and so honest, squeaky clean, that no one could suspect you. And he hung his head in shame and he said, Rebbe, I don't know how to say this, and I'm so embarrassed after so much good that you did for me and so much that you taught me, but I took the money. And Asher Anshel went and he said, but listen, I don't have the money to pay it back. I have some money. I'll pay it back to you, whatever I have. But then eventually, over the next period of time, next year or so, I'll try to get money until it's all paid up in full. Please be meichel me, please forgive me. Reb Tzvi Hirsch was incredulous. How could it even be? He's such an honest person. But listen, he said he did it. So Tzvi Hirsch said, okay. And he took the money from Asher Anshel. Meanwhile, in a different area in the city, there was a particular fellow, a pauper, a non-Jewish fellow, and he came into the bar one night and he pulled out a gold coin and he bought drinks, rounds of drinks for everybody. He couldn't believe where he got his money from. He says, I have my sources. This happened a few times. And eventually someone went to the police and said something is not okay, something doesn't add up. This guy who's a pauper comes in with gold coins every day and he buys rounds of drinks. I mean, he didn't win the lottery. The cops accused him and he admitted under their investigation, under their scrutiny, that actually his wife had stolen money from the rabbi's drawer. She found it and she figured out a way to take it out. And these gold coins had come from that large pile of gold coins. The chief of police quickly went and he called Reb Tzvi Hirsch and he said to him, we found the thief. And they gave back all the money besides for a few of the coins, 4 or 5 of the coins that had been used. And Reb Tzvi Hirsch, when he heard this, was seized with such a fear. What do you mean? Asher Anshel had told him he did it, and he didn't want to believe him, but listen, he admitted, and he realized that to spare him the agony and the grief of not having the money, of so much money that had been saved, Asher Anshel admitted to something that he didn't do, and he paid back the money, so there shouldn't even be a suspicion on him, and so his Rebbe shouldn't have to feel any emotional pain. And he called his Talmud in, he called Asher Anshel in, he called Meir Anshel in, and he begged him for mechila. And Meir Anshel said, don't worry about it, Rebbe, it's okay. And he gave him a bracha that because of his incredible honesty, that there shouldn't even be a suspicion in anyone's mind that maybe he did something wrong. He gives him a bracha that the Rebbeinu Shalom should reward him with tremendous ashiras and tremendous wealth. And we all know the rest of the story because Meir Anshel was none other than Meir Anshel Rothschild, the progenitor of the famously wealthy international family, the Rothschild family, which changed global commerce in the biggest way. As a matter of fact, he's brought down to be one of the top 15 or 20 most influential financiers in the history of this world. And that was because of his incredible honesty and integrity and the special bracha of Rav Tzvi Harshav Chartkov. That's how careful we have to be when it comes to other people's money. Forget about taking it, but there shouldn't even be a suspicion.
Enjoyed this story? Come again. Bring a friend. StoriesToInspire.org